Do you know that there is a season for everything? The Bible tells us there is. So let's talk about that today in your morning cup of inspiration. It's hard to believe in today's times you're going, this is a season for this? This is really happening, but it is. And the Bible tells us that. And there's a story I want to share with you about a song. And it was written by Pete Seeger, who was a folk singer back in the 50s and 60s. And he wrote this song in 1959. And the song is called Turn, Turn, Turn. And he had kept a pocket notebook full of texts and sayings that he had heard, and he would use later for writing songs. It gave him ideas to write songs with. And one was a part of the Bible that he had copied. And as he put it, he said, these are verses by a bearded fellow with sandals and a tough-minded fellow called Ecclesiastes. So he wrote the song Turn, Turn, Turn. He performed it in coffee houses in Greenwich Village and that. But it was later then recorded by Judy Collins and the Seekers and the Limelighters and even the Lettermen before Roger McQuinn got a hold of it and brought it to the Byrds. And Roger McQuinn had heard this song as he was playing guitar with the Limelighters in the recording sessions when he'd heard this song, but he brought it to the Byrds. And then he added that 12-string guitar riff, which just gave it a sense of urgency, and it was perfect for the time in 1965 when all the demonstrations that were taking place, and it went to number one in 1965 on the charts. And that was the year that the American ground troops had escalated. President Johnson at the time had escalated the troops in Vietnam. There was protests going on campus. Men were burning their draft cards. There were civil rights protests going on for equal rights. This was happening all through America at the time. And it was a time when Johnson was even calling his reforms the Great Society. See, and the song was so appropriate for them because it's a song that told us that everything, there's a season. There was a season back then too, and that we needed to accept the change and inevitably that history is a cycle, and it goes on like that, and that strife is temporary. And that's what McGuinn was trying to bring out too in the song Turn, Turn, Turn when the Byrds recorded it. Now I want to read to you Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 11 and see if this isn't appropriate for today. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and time to gather them together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, and a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do workers gain from their toil? Well, I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. This is what he said. He has also set eternity in the human heart, that yet no one can fathom what God has done from the beginning to the end. To everything there is a season. So even what's going on right now, what's going on in our country, what's going on in the world, what's going on in our lives, there is a season. And God has us covered from beginning to end. God bless everyone. Look forward to seeing you again for another morning cup of inspiration. Have a wonderful day.